Stop searching for purpose. Focus on this. A father was sitting in his library reading one among his hundreds of books on his shelf when his son walked in looking worried and excited. Before the father could say a word, the son happily said, "Daddy, I want to be successful, and I found out that finding my purpose is the most critical ingredient for success. The problem is, I have been frustrated for the past 2 weeks trying to find my purpose. How do I find it?" My son, in the pursuit of success, there is only one thing that is fundamentally important. Without this one thing, all your strivings would be in vain. Men and women across all nations have lived their lives without possessing this one thing, and have continually wondered why, despite all their toilings and strivings and hard work and struggles, they still have remained unsuccessful and poor. It is because they lack this simple but profoundly significant one thing. My son, without this one thing, nations with great potential will never reach it. Without it, you will waste your time here on earth and wonder how fast time flies. Marriages crumble for the lack of this one thing. Business fizzles out when they do not know what this one thing for them is. Amazingly talented athletes never win trophies or become great when they have no clarity about this one thing. So what is this one thing, Daddy? My son, before I tell you what this one thing is, I'll talk about what it is not. I know you have heard many teachings in churches by well-meaning pastors. I know you've heard motivational speakers also talk about the important factors in success. And I know you're probably wondering what this one thing I talk about is. This one thing is not purpose. I have lived a few years. I have studied a few books. And I have experienced life in a little measure. And I have realized from my research that purpose is not the first factor in the success equation. Preachers have taught endlessly about the importance of finding your purpose. They have admonished their members to take out time or days to seek God to find their purpose. This singular teaching has caused millions of people to abandon their pursuits that align them to purpose unknowingly to one of near futility in their bid to get God to tell and show them their purpose in life. Millions of people today are seeking and searching for their purpose and have wasted 10, 20, 40 years looking for it and asking God to reveal their purpose to them, and yet haven't found it. People are frustrated seeing others choosing something and succeeding at it, yet they didn't ask God to show them. Church and pastors are a big part of our lives and will continue to be. That's why this topic is very important to me, because you will hear countless numbers of preachers tell you to seek purpose in God. But Daddy, is purpose not important? Do not get me wrong, son. Purpose is important, but it follows after this one thing. Not talking about purpose, I will x-ray the Bible for you to see how many people sought God to find their purpose. Abraham is the father of faith, and so we emulate his actions in many ways. Abraham never sought God for purpose before God called him and gave him his pursuit. In Genesis 12:1-2, "Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing." There is nowhere in the Bible where it was recorded that Abraham sought God to find his purpose. He didn't even know God, as he was believed to worship idols. Talk about Isaac, Esau, and Jacob. None of them sought God for purpose. Isaac was in the business of livestock, which was a trade after his father Abraham. He didn't ask God if livestock farming was his purpose. He just did it. In fact, one time he had made up his mind to go to Egypt due to the toughness of the famine, but God interrupted his plan and stopped him from going. There is a very important lesson here. Keep chasing what's in your heart, and if it doesn't align with God, he will get to you. Jacob did the same thing. Following after his father's trade, and without asking what his purpose was from God, also himself a livestock herder. What about Joseph? Have you read anywhere where he sought after God day and night to find his purpose? The answer is a capital no. He just kept on doing what he knows to do best, and one day rose to be the most important politician in his time. Did Moses pray seeking God for his purpose? No, he did not. When the time was right, God drew his attention and himself and gave him his purpose. Should I talk about Daniel, who became a highly placed politician in a Babylonian government? Or about Esther, Samson, David, Saul that became king of Israel? Or Elisha that took over from Elijah? The Bible didn't record anywhere that Elisha prayed to God, seeking to know if he should be the one to take over from Elijah. He just kept pressing until he entered destiny. Nehemiah had a burning desire to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, and he set his gaze to rebuild it. And rebuild it he did. He didn't seek God to know if rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem was his purpose. He just did as his heart burned. What about this present-day great and successful men? Did they spend hours seeking God and searching for their purpose? Again, the answer is no. Bishop David Oyedepo talked about how he was just loving God and functioning as a responsible Christian when God asked him to go lodge in a hotel. And from there, Oyedepo encountered the 18-hour-long vision that erupted into the Winners Chapel family. His purpose, revealed after that vision, became to liberate the world from all oppression of the devil through the preaching of the word of faith. But Daddy, what's this one thing? Don't be in a hurry, son. I am providing these physical examples of successful people and showing you how they became successful to ingrain in your mind, to build conviction in your heart, and getting you ready and open for what I will plant in it about this one most important component of success. All right, your curiosity for this one thing is where I want it to be now, and I am going to tell you what this one thing is. Napoleon Hill calls it your definite chief aim. Paul refers to it as this one thing I do. Miles Monroe called it vision. This most important factor to success is to define exactly what you want, your goal, what you desire to achieve above all else. Answering that simple but timeless question, what do you want in life, is the fundamental to success. My son, do not trouble yourself too much about what you want. You already know it. The problem with 95% of the population is deciding to choose that one thing and stick with it for long to the exclusion of other things. Jesus Christ's definite chief aim was to die for the salvation of mankind. In John 6, verse 15, the Bible says, "When Jesus therefore perceived that they would come and take him by force to make him a king, he departed again into a mountain himself alone." Jesus ran away from being made king of Israel, a position that people would kill for. Do you know why? Because he knew exactly what he wanted. Bill Gates wanted to put Microsoft in every computer, in every home when he started. That was his definite goal. And even though it seemed impossible at the time, today we can say he has achieved that goal. Steve Jobs wanted to put the internet in everyone's palm when he invented the iPhone, and today that's exactly what has happened. He became a multi-billionaire fulfilling this goal. When Google started, Larry Page and Sergey Brin wanted to download the entire information on the internet into Google. Their professor proclaimed it was impossible, but today, that goal has been achieved many times over. Making the founders outrageously wealthy. Henry Ford of Ford Motor Corporation's primary goal was to make cars affordable and accessible to the average American, not just the wealthy. He aimed to create a motor car for the great multitude, and in doing this he became successful and wealthy. Son, do you know Michael Jordan, the 6 times NBA champion that played for Chicago Bulls. Did you know he was rejected from joining his high school basketball team for being lousy, not tall enough with less skills? Do you know what that made him do? Did you know Michael Jordan was asked to carry the uniforms of his high school basketball team members while he sought a chance to prove himself to the coach? It didn't make him go home and lock himself up in a room praying, asking God to show him his purpose, as he has failed in basketball. He rather promised himself to become the best in the game, practiced all summer, and became the darling of his high school team. What about Kobe Bryant? After being cut from his high school basketball team, decided his main goal was to overachieve. He became one of the most successful basketball players in the world, winning 5 NBA championships, 18-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA team, 12-time All-Defensive team, 2008 NBA Most Valuable Player. He achieved all these by choosing one sport and one aim, to be an overachiever, and focusing on that with practice. 6 hours of basketball, 6 days a week, every 6 months of the year. Have you heard of Serena and Venus Williams, the sisters that dominated women tennis from the 1990s through to the 2000s and 10s? Do you know how they entered the sport? Do you think they prayed to God? Or their parents prayed to God, seeking purpose, and God showed them it was their destiny to play lawn tennis? Of course not. Here's what happened. Their father, Richard Williams, watched a Romanian tennis player, Virginia Ruzici, win the French Open in 1978 and receive a $40,000 prize money. This inspired him to develop a plan to raise his future daughters as professional tennis players. His plan, outlined in a 78-page document, captured how he would start coaching Venus and Serena from the age of 4. And at age 17, Serena Williams won her first major Grand Slam, the US Open in 1999. The next year, her sister, Venus Williams, won the Wimbledon Open. I can go on, but this is just to give you concrete real-life examples that to succeed you need to choose one thing, one field, one area, deploy dedicated focus and sacrifice, and eventually you must succeed. Remember, you might find out that the thing you picked at first wasn't the right choice for you, just like Kobe Bryant, that started out playing football in Italy but pivoted to basketball when he returned to the United States. So my son, success is easy and quick, only if you have a definite goal, a definite chief aim, and follow after it with every fiber of your being. Listen, you are the architect of your fate, the pilot of your destiny. Stay focused on that one thing you choose to the abandonment of other things. Your definite goal will guide your choices, the books you read, the friends you keep, the course you study, the wife you marry, the places you go. It will make you of quick decision to discard whatever doesn't move you towards its achievement. Your definite goal will give you insight to easily recognize opportunities and take advantage of them. It will empower you to say no without much thinking, as it will be your rod and staff, guiding your every decision. It was Ralph Waldo Emerson that said, "Once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen." Once you're focused, the whole universe will come to your aid to help you achieve that for which you seek. Purpose is found in the work you devote yourself to pursue. This means purpose is discovered in the path of pursuit, and decision to act is the key to performance. For without the decision to act, a man will only drift all his life. As Howard Thurman puts it, it is a wondrous thing that a decision to act releases energy in the personality. For days on end, a person may drift along without much energy. having no particular sense of direction and having no will to change. Then, something happens to alter the pattern. It may be something very simple and inconsequential in itself, but it stabs awake, it alarms, it disturbs. In a flash, one gets a vivid picture of oneself, and it passes. The result is decision. Sharp, definitive decision. In the wake of the decision, yes, even as a part of the decision itself, energy is released. The act of decision sweeps all before it, and the life of the individual may be changed forever. My son, the decision to act on that one goal you have chosen is another vital ingredient in your pursuit of success. Let other people focus on seeking God to search for their purpose, but for you, make the decision to choose one path, one field, one business, one course to impact and focus on it relentlessly until life pays you for your sacrifice in that area. Purpose is inherent in you and will be discovered by you when the time is right. You don't have to search for it all your life. Keep your mind on your goal and put in the work required to achieve it. Purpose will come knocking, and I promise you, within 10 years, you will look back and be amazed how successful and confident you have become. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and follow our Lessons of Life series for more inspiring experience.